Hello and welcome to GatherVerse News Unscripted, your home for humanity-centered tech journalism. My name is Rafael, and today we're talking about AI in Mexico. The development and implementation of artificial intelligence has become increasingly important for countries around the world. In 2019, a Mexican coalition recognized the potential of AI and set forth a strategy to leverage its capabilities for Mexico's future. The document they created, titled AI Mexico 2030, laid out a clear path forward for the implementation. This is the story of what happened next.
I'm here at the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City. As I spent the whole day learning about Mexico's incredible history, I'm left with one question. What does the future of Mexico look like with AI?
Back in 2019, there were less than 10 countries in the world that had an AI strategy at the national level, and we saw the opportunity to see it as a strategic as the strategic importance it has from a policy perspective.
That's Cristina Martinez Pinto, founder of the Public Interest Technology Policy Lab and former chair of the AI Mexico 2030 project.
So that's why we started interviewing. We interviewed more than 60 experts in artificial intelligence across the country to to understand what were the opportunities and challenges that we had, and how we could come up with a strategy, or with the first lines, with the first draft of a strategy that could be presented to the upcoming administration.
On July 1st, 2018, Andrés Manuel López Obrador was elected as president of Mexico. Unfortunately, his administration did not have AI in their plans.
It was of interest in the previous administration, and I think I think that's why we have so many documents and references, and why we were pioneers in developing the first steps towards an AI strategy. But to be honest, that never occurred. Like, after we published that document, after we created the AI 2030 Alliance, after we did all this work, unfortunately, we realized that the federal government had no interest at all, not only in artificial intelligence, but in a digital agenda, which was even worse, because I mean, AI could be a niche, but we were speaking about infrastructure, about all the foundations of technology, of harnessing the different types of technology that together in combination can provide all these benefits and can help us achieve not only SDGs but also policy goals. And precisely this administration, which is supposed to be anti-corruption, the closing of inequality gaps, I think we try to put an agenda forward where they could see how technology could become an ally in this fight, but there was no interest. I mean, we pivoted, and I think we were we were able to see this rapidly, so we were able to find out how to work and where to go work. And what we ended up doing was looking for champions across some of the states that were more advanced in the subject and that had an interest in giving continuity to this agenda.
Jalisco, located in western Mexico, is a state known for its vibrant culture, stunning natural beauty, and thriving technology center.
One of them, the pioneering state, was the state of Jalisco, with an amazing initiative, collaborative initiative, where the IDB participated, C-Minds participated, Tecno Monterrey from academia, and the government of Jalisco. And the Fairlac Jalisco hub was the first hub from the Fairlac regional initiative from IDB, where we started putting at the center the responsible use and deployment and development and deployment of artificial intelligence. And what that meant is that through this multi-sector collaboration and through an identification of priorities from the local government, we would bring the different sectors together to come up with solutions in a responsible way. So a specific example, there have been different use cases that have been developed or are in the process of being developed in the past 3 years. The first use case that we started with was in the healthcare sector with regards diabetic retinopathy. This is a very important issue because if it's not detected on time, it can lead to death in the worst scenario, but also to blindness. And it can be, and it's a preventable disease. So using artificial intelligence with the scanning of the eye, what the team did was basically train a database with examples of people that had it, in order to be able to identify who would develop it throughout the years and to prevent it before it even starts to go into a deeper level when there's no coming back. So this was an excellent use case, not only because of the results it had in terms of the prevention of of cases, but because of all the collaboration that had to go through the different units of not of these organizations that I mentioned, of the private academia. That's part of the model, but within the local government, there had to be coordination between hospitals, between practitioners who are actually working with the patients, between the academics who were developing the models. So it was a fascinating use case that was supposed to be shorter, and then in reality what you realize is that change takes longer. So it ended up being like a year and a half use case where there were many learnings, and they just recently published all these learnings in the form of our reports. Jalisco has a tech enabling environment. It has tech policies. It's been supported by the local government. The local government was the first government in Mexico to create an AI department within the government innovation team. It also has like a ministry of innovation. So it's aligned to their agenda. And but what's interesting is that they're not the only ones.
Guanajuato, a state located in central Mexico, is embracing the potential of AI to transform education.
The government of Guanajuato has also a pioneering team in the Ministry of Education that's been working for more than 20 years in the creation of education database, and more recently now that they have all this wealth of data, in doing data analysis for predictive purposes. For instance, they have a very ambitious project that's called Educational Trajectories, and they created an early alert warning system to identify students at risk of dropout. And they've been working collaboratively also with the World Bank to create an algorithm that's trained on their databases and that can provide with information about which students could be at risk of dropping out of school. And we realized there was an opportunity within that project to mainstream gender perspective. And that meant to identify if the databases had some sort of gender bias and to mitigate it on one side, on the technical side, but on the other side, to also work with the policymakers for them to understand why it's important to have some understanding and knowledge between the intersection of artificial intelligence, gender, human rights. So we proposed using the tool, the Fairness 360 tool, to check for the bias and mitigate it, but also to come up with training sessions with public servants for them to have a different angle and approach of what could be of the things that could go wrong, but also on how to think from the beginning on the ethical implications of projects that are based on AI systems. We realized with this intervention is that before doing before using this tool, there was a misclassification of about 4 girls that weren't classified as at-risk students, and after the mitigation, after using the tool, they were. And they were very impressed, and they were saying like, well, this matters because if what we're trying to do is come up with evidence-based solutions, then our solutions are, and if our solutions are biased, like technology is not neutral. We cannot say that we were just focusing on the data if the data was biased from the beginning.
That was AI International, how AI is finding its wings in Mexico. I want to add that the conversation with Christina was really eye-opening on my end because there are so many different use cases from other countries in Latin America that we spoke about, Colombia, for example. At the moment, most of these conversations surrounding AI are focused on AI governance and development from the European, American, and Chinese perspectives. But there's a huge opportunity to democratize the field, which is why Christina founded the Public Interest Technology Policy Lab. We should not only be looking at bringing best practices from the US to Mexico, Latin America needs to be able to contribute to the shaping of this movement with their own views, use cases, and lessons. A gigantic thank you to Cristina Martinez Pinto for her kindness, knowledge, and time. I wish we could have aired the entire hour-long conversation, but you can find out more about her work of supporting public interest technology projects at www.policylab.tech. Tomorrow on GatherVerse News Unscripted, Lisa Bernard will give us a look at the world's biggest XR event, the AWE conference in Silicon Valley. She was there. She caught up with some of the biggest names in XR. We'll hear from Tom Furness, Philip Rosedale, and Alvin Grillin about the impact AI could have on society. And she'll have our Pioneer profile this week. Every Wednesday, we bring you an in-depth look at someone who is a leader in Web3 and who is also considering the impact that emerging tech has on humans and society. Tomorrow is Britton Heller. Britton is an attorney who works at the intersection of technology and human rights. She's a member of the Stanford Cyber Policy Center and Virtual Human Interaction Lab. Britton is a leading figure in the fight against online harassment and hate speech. Join Lisa tomorrow at noon Pacific time, right here on GatherVerse News. If you'd like to sponsor us or send a story idea, you can find information at gatherverse.org. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of this journey. as we explore how new technology is changing our lives. This has been GatherVerse News Unscripted, your home for humanity-centered tech journalism. Join us right back here tomorrow. Thank you.